Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Bruce Jones here on a Wednesday afternoon. I hope everybody is well, and we are on time for my InDesign Intro to InDesign broadcast. So we're all kind of at home, and we have lots of time to kind of do things and think about things, and the world's changing. So I thought I would start sort of a series of broadcasts on using InDesign, how to use it. It'll be kind of related to, let me turn off this so you can see who I am. It'll be related to my InDesign for Authors course that I have, that it's been sort of sitting for a while and I didn't know what to do with it. And thank you to the people who bought it. But all of these videos will end up in that course. That's where I'm going to put them. The templates that are there, those will go in there. I was just adding in today my self-published secrets book, that's now in there. The checklist is in there, and the launch checklist is in that course. So I'll have that link. I'll put that link in the video. Actually, I can do that right now. Let me just put that in here. So that's there. But we're going to be here for about an hour, I think, something like that. I don't know. If there's questions, and I'll answer whatever questions you have. And let me just put the link in here, just so we can, let's see, view as this. And here we go. Excuse me while I sort of get everything ready. Oh yeah, here we go, right here. So we'll just stick this in here if anybody is interested in that. And if not, we'll just go on. But that's sort of the plan. So what I'm going to do, I just put that link in the Facebook group under this video. So post questions if you have them, and if they fit into this. If not, I'll be doing them in follow-up. Yael's here. Thank you, Yael. It says here. Let's see. Can I get cool? Let's see here. Thank you for doing. Oh, right here. Show. There it is. Right from here. So that's fantastic. And so what I'm going to cover is this is going to be a basic overview of InDesign. We'll do more detailed ones later. So I'm going to cover creating a little bit about InDesign, creating a document, overview of the desktop. So just explain the different parts to it. Some of the palettes you can pull up, the menus. I'm going to show you how to place text and do simple formatting. I'm not going to go too deep on this. And Winnie's watching too, so cool, great. We're going to talk a little bit about bringing in images, a little bit about color type, making a PDF, and maybe packaging. And that'll be enough. Everybody's eyes will be rolling back of their head. So I had a great question. Somebody asked about table of contents. I'll do that in the follow-up video. So, oh, Rebecca's here. Just push your old course. Is this new? I want in. Yes. No, you're good. If you have the old course, my plan is to update and change and add. So all the templates I have, we're going to go in here. The books I just added the books a few minutes ago. So they're now in the InDesign for Authors course. You already have it. So I'm going to just kind of update and do more to it. It's been sort of languishing. Winnie, thank you, Winnie, the biggest smarty pants. You're generous sharing this. So great stuff. Thank you for all. Rebecca, we haven't talked for a while. Yeah, so you don't have to do anything. It's all going to be in there, and I went through it today, and it needs an update and an upgrade, and this seems like it's time to do it. So, all right, so let's dive in. Let me hide this and get this over here. All right, so what we're talking about is InDesign. So InDesign is an Adobe product, and it's used for creating any kind of graphic design. It's been around a long time. There was a previous version called PageMaker, and I've actually been using this product for over 30 years. 1985 is when I started. So 85, 95, 2005, 2015. Oh God, 36 years I've been using this software. And I love it. It was my basic core software for graphic design. You can do anything, basically anything you want in it. I usually recommend people think about InDesign if you're an author, if you're moved past this into the second or third book, so you're going to be making books. You do rent it now. You used to have to buy it, but you rent it from Adobe. And it usually comes in the package, that the one I have, with Adobe Illustrator and Adobe Photoshop. So let me see. Winnie, is Bruce freezing? No, I'm still going, I think, but it's all being recorded, so you'll be able to watch the recording. So I'm sure there's lots of bandwidth issues with all the students doing things. Let me just see if this is, nope, I'm still running live. All right. So, and it, basically what it is the desktop publishing program. What that means is that it's a place that you bring your different elements. So you bring your text, your pictures, your graphics, you format them, you put it all together, you design it, you lay it out, you format it, and then you create a PDF or a file that you send to a printer. So it's sort of the place, it's like a bucket. You know, all the different elements that you need to create a book or any kind of graphic design is done in InDesign. So, all right, so let's get into it here. And I'm going to just show you, let me just bring up, all right. So let me get this out of the way. As you can see my busy screen here. I'm going to move this down here. I'm going to go to here. And let's bring up InDesign. All right. So this is InDesign, right? And we're going to make a change right at the beginning, but I'll show you the basic program. So when you get it out of the box, it generally looks like this. You can see all these different projects I have, and you just launch the product and you open it up. It looks like this, right? This is sort of your dashboard where you have previous products and you have some sort of standard things that you can do. And you can create new or you can open. And there's also all kinds of stuff up here that you can, let's see, let that grind away. We have a lot going on in this computer. And let's see here. I should have just turned this off. Let's turn this off down here. So you also have pull down menus that are up here. So we're going to make a new document. So I'll show you how to sort of set that up. But there's something that I like. I'll make the document, then I'm going to make a change. This is the change that I'll show you why in a moment. So we're going to make a new book. We're going to just make a standard document. So we're going to go to new right over here. All right. And you're going to get a pop-up window that looks like this. And they have some pre-made templates and things in here. And also any previous template you made is in here. The default, I have this set in picas, but this is an 8.5 by 11. But we can come over to the right-hand side and we're going to just select inches. These are all different units of measurement. This is a global company and they sell their stuff all around the world. And there's lots of different sort of measuring systems that people use. I work in picas, which is a graphic designer sent, but we're going to work in inches just to keep this simple. You see millimeters and centimeters, that's our European friends. So I'm going to change this to inches, and you'll notice the picas change to inches. So my width is 8.5 by 11. My height is 8.5, and height is 11. I can make it tall or vertical. Right? I can assign a number of pages, so I'm going to just put in here 3 pages. Oops, make this 3. And you can pages can be facing each other or they can be individual. You can also put number of columns in here. Most of these things you can change later on, so you don't have to be locked in. And you can set margins in here. So I've put in 0.5 as my margins and don't need to worry about the bleed and the slug. And there's lots of ways to do this. One of the things about all of these programs is that there's many, many, many ways to do it, and everybody has their sort of personal style to it. But this is mine. Okay. So now I hit create, and this is your standard window that you'll see that you'll work on. You'll have a page here, and then there's 2 pages down here. Now this is the way it comes out of the box, and I'm going to go through and explain all the things around the edges and stuff in a moment. But I'm going to make a change that I think is key. I don't like this format, how they set it up. So this is a key change, and you'll see in a moment. So up here in InDesign, and this is the way InDesign, Illustrator and Photoshop work. In InDesign, I come to Preferences, and I go to Interface. And an interface, this little screen, has all kinds of preferences. We're only going to change this one. I'm going to unclick Match Pasteboard Color Theme. You notice that went white, and I'm going to make the color theme white. Okay, so now what we had, and I hit OK. So now you'll notice it's different. And what it is this has now exposed the pasteboard. And this is one of the more powerful features of InDesign is I can work on my pages, but I also can work on and store things on my pasteboard. So if I just drew a box, I'm going to come over to my toolbar, So here's my toolbar, and it sits either in the little right there, or you can pull it out. I usually have it floating around here. I'm just going to make a box. I'm just going to go to the box tool and draw a box. I'll come back and explain all this, but I just want to just show you what this means. Stroke. Here we go. And we're just going to, okay. So what this means is that when you draw something or some type, you have it here on the box, you can also move it over to the side to the pasteboard. This is super convenient. This really makes a huge difference in being able to move things out of the way, so that, stage things. You'll see I'll put the text out here. I'll format things out here, and then I bring them on the page. It just gives you a place, kind of like when we were graphic designers, we needed to just put stuff on the side of our desks. This is the desk out here, okay? And it's on left and right, and you'll see it's out here on the sides, and it kind of gives you lots of room. So that's the main change that I make to my InDesign files, and everything else is the same. All right, so let's kind of go and just talk about the screen a little bit. I'm going to close that. There's another change that I will work with usually is you'll notice up here at the top. So we have tools, right? And these are all the tools that we have, and I'll go through this in a moment. Then we have the top of the screen, and then we have some sort of panels over here on the right-hand side. You'll notice I can open these up. You'll see little mini versions of the pages. Here are the big pages I'm working on, and here are the little pages. These are the pages of your book. And whatever size book you have, that's the size of the file. So if you were 6 by 9, this would be 6 by 9. If you were 8.5 by 11, it's 8.5 by 11. Let's just put here, okay. And but you can put lots of other little palettes in here. You'll notice you can just click on. There's all kinds of stuff that goes on over here. But there's another change that I like, which is up here at the top. It says Essentials. That's how it sort of comes out of the box. And I like changing to Essentials Classic. And what that does is it gives me all kinds of tools and options up here at the top. All right, so that's located, this little pull-down menu, Essentials Classic, right here. There's other options. I was looking at book this morning, interactive PD, printed, all kinds of stuff, but this is the one I like, Essentials Classic. And up here you have measurements, and depending what you pick for your tool, let's move the toolbar up here. Kind of grab it. There we go. Well, this will change. So I'm on a pointer tool right now. And so I can move things. I can select and move them around. And I can change the width. Notice I can change that. I can line things up. So if I had 2 of these boxes like this, I can select them. And I can just go up here to these little aligning things. And I can line things up. That's pretty cool. If I hit the text tool right here, this the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 one down, you notice everything changed to text options. So we have, there we go. Oh, we have fonts, all kinds of fonts in here. We have different versions of the font. We have the point sizes. We have other things we can do with type. We can center, flush left, flush right in the center here. We can do measurement, different things to it. So there are many ways to do the same thing. Sometimes it's a palette, sometimes it's up at the top. You'll find what is your comfortable way of doing it, but this is my comfortable way. I'm used to it. This is the old way, and I just like having the tools readily available. All right. So as we work our way around the screen, the first thing we're going to come to is our tool box, and you'll have a pointer. The next one down is this direct select. So if I have something grouped, I can grab something in a group. I never really use those things. This is the type one, and the main type one. Let's open this up. There we go. We can do type on a path and just regular type. So this is, you'll use this all the time. We have a rules, our line tool. You have a drawing tool, a pen tool. This is a very useful one. This is the box. Let's open that up. You have rectangles, ellipses, which is circles and polygons. That's stars and bursts. So if you do something like so the ellipse tool, you saw me draw a box. The ellipse tool will draw ellipses. Let's make that a little thicker so you can see it. If I hold my shift key down on my keyboard, it stays proportional. So it stays as a perfect circle. If I don't, you can make ovals and do all kinds of cool things. You have a cutting tool, you have a gradient tool. That'll be a future video. We'll talk about the gradient tools. You have an eyedropper tool. You have some color stuff that goes on down here. So that's the toolbar. And this is a key essential thing that you'll have. You can move it left to right, depending where you are. I'll put it out here. I usually keep it sort of right in this area. You notice I have rulers turned on. So you'll see there's rulers around the outer side for measuring things. I'm going to go in close here. All right. On the screen itself, you'll see you have the page. So this is the 8.5 by 11 document. And this inner line is my margin. So you know when we do Kindle KDP books, we need a margin. So their recommended one is to have at least 1/4 of an inch. I like a 1/2 inch. Notice we have a 1/2 inch margin. I can change this by coming to the layout and go to margins and columns, and we can change it. Notice if I click this, see how the margins come in? Look at that and go out. And if I unclick this little chain, they're independent of each other. So this is something you'll do a lot when you're sort of laying out or design a book. You're going to set up your margins and how you're going to work. We'll make that, again, a separate video where we go into the grid system and laying things out. Okay, so those are basic tools around the page. This one is set up for pages where they're opposite each other. So it's a spread. So this is the left page of your book. Remember, books always start on the right-hand page. So they give you the right-hand page right here. And if I come down, I have a left-hand page and a right-hand page. Left-hand page, right-hand page. I can also scroll up and down. Let me close that. I can scroll up and down. And if I need to add more pages, remember I said there were like 3 or 4 ways to do everything in InDesign. I can go to Layout and add pages, add page, insert page, move pages. I can also go over here to the right where I have some palettes. And if I click on pages, I'll see my pages. Down here at the bottom is a little plus. So we're just going to add a page, and we can just add more pages. You'll see how I'm zooming kind of in and out. I'm using keyboard commands to do that. I think that stuff's up here somewhere. I'm so used to keyboard commands, it's hard for me to find where they're not. But zoom in, zoom out right here. And there's different keyboard commands to do that. But I can add as many pages as I want. You can certainly do 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 page documents just by adding them in. They're also movable. You can move them around, that kind of stuff. Look along the top. I sort of talked about the top. And we have, if people have questions, just, hi, Mandalee, thank you for joining. That's great. Thank you, in. And Suzanne, thank you for coming in. I know you got in here quick right at the end. Just joined the How to Publish Your Book Facebook group. So on the top, I have lots of things depending what I've clicked on. So if I have clicked on this box, I'll have things I can do with the boxes or circles or objects. If I click on the text tool, I have text things. Let me get text. Here we go. Text stuff. All right. We also have the equivalent of these options up here at the top in separate windows. So if I look across the top, InDesign where I have my specs. Remember we did the preference thing for the interface. File is where we save documents just like any other program. We can print, export. We'll do that in a little bit. Export for making PDFs. I can save my file. I can open my file. All that's there. Edit is editing stuff. So we can do find and change, copy and paste, transparency stuff. That's in here. Layout has to do with pages. So I can add pages, change my margins and columns, rulers, create guides, move pages. Type. We have all the type stuff. So the same thing that was in the top bar is also here, right? We have all that. We can do size, and everybody's sort of different how they do it. I've been doing this a long time, so I have keyboard commands down. I jump around quickly on stuff, but I can format the characters, the paragraphs, the styles. That'll probably be a later video. This is a very powerful tool if you're doing any kind of sort of catalog work or anything where a lot of the same all the time. Change cases, lots of stuff here. Objects, send them forward, send them back. There's effects in here, drop shadows. This is a cool one. Let's just do a drop shadow here just to show you. I'm going to fill this with red. Oops. Let's just fill this with red. And if we went to drop shadow, we'll have a whole thing on, should be have on, you can see right there, a little drop shadow came in. I can change how far it comes out, comes in, its opacity, all that kind of stuff. So I use this a lot. Drop shadows have become very popular, and we use them all the time. And if I zoom in here, you'll see a little drop shadow underneath. Kind of makes things stand out. Let me do this. There we go. All right. So that's there. Also, one of the really, really, really useful tools that you have in your ruler is you have guides. So one of the cool things about InDesign is you can set up a column for grids and stuff like that to line things up. So if I went to layout and I hit margins, I can make 2 columns or 3 column pages. And now I know to drop my type into these areas. So this is where the type will go. And I know everything will be lined up perfectly. And I can change the width of the space between the columns. I can change how many columns I have. I can have 3 columns on one page and 2 columns on the next page. It just does a lot of stuff. Let's see. What was I going to show you here? Next thing. Oh, guides and rulers. All right. So in the ruler, up at the top and on the left, if I take my pointer and click inside of this ruler, click and hold and pull down, you'll see a guide comes up. See that thin blue line? I think that shows up. Let's see, I'm looking here. Let's make sure that comes down. And this is used for lining things up. So I can, now it turns green when I release it, and I can take my box, and let's make that less, they don't need to have it so thick. Let's make that down to something more reasonable. I can line my box up to my ruler. Where is this important? This is important if you're doing a spread of left and right pages. I can put a ruler in here, and if I stay on the page, it stays on that page. If I go out here in the pasteboard, it goes across both pages. But now I have a guide, so I know when I set up say this is a picture, I can put it on this side of the page of the book, and I can also put it on this side, and I know they're perfectly lined up. I can have vertical ones. I can have horizontal ones. I can have as many of them as I want, but I use these all the time for lining up blocks of type. Maybe there's type wrapping around this picture, and I can make everything can line up. So it's just a very, very useful tool at your disposal. As we move along the side here, we have some palettes on the side, and these are the ones that they sort of give you as sort of standards. They're going to be the page one, the links one, which tracks all your graphics, the stroke, which was, remember, the thickness of our boxes. We have a color palette, which I rarely ever use, but I use the Swatches palette all the time. All right, so that's so we have different colors, and then inside of here, in this what's called a little hamburger, these little 3 lines, you have options for lots of other things. Every palette has additional options by just clicking. So the page one has master pages and things. That's important, and I can click that little arrow and close it. The links one has all of its options, everything. There's extra options. If I go to my swatches one, I have all kinds of color books, new color swatch. And I can bring up way more colors, lots and lots of colors. They just give you these ones to start. These palettes are also located over here in this window. You'll see all of these are palettes. So at the moment, the tool one is open, and the type one, the character one, there's a paragraph one here, and there's a paragraph one here. So I have, and they're also movable. I can just grab on it and pull it out, and this is like a little magnet. It sticks over here, and I can move them around wherever I want. This paragraph controls paragraphs of type. We'll come back to that in a moment and show you how to use that. But again, all those same controls are up here, and they're also up here. So however you work, that's it. It says it's at the top center. So Rebecca, I have to jump on. Okay. All right. So I'm also using, let me just back up for 1 second. This is the InDesign version that comes, I think I'm in InDesign 2020. This is all online now, and it constantly updates, and they keep giving you different versions of it. So it all comes in this Adobe thing right here where you download and control all your products. So, all right. So there's lots of different palettes in here. You have color palettes, you have effects palettes, you have the gradient palette. This is one that you end up using a lot. You can see if you want to make a gradation. So they're all in here. And if you don't want them floating around your screen, you just bring them over here and they will click themselves in here somehow. There you go. You put it there. And you can close that there, and you can put this in here, and everything can kind of move around, and you can build your own custom sort of table. We've come up the left side. We've come across the top. We've come down the side with all the palettes. Along the bottom, you have the main thing that you have down here is if we go to pages, you'll see there are pages here. And if I click on this page, it will jump to it. But I also have them down here. And depending how many pages, this can be really long, but I can also jump to any page I want here. I can skip around. So this is kind of a key thing. The main key thing that's down here is the master page. All right, so let's go to the master page for a second. Every document has a master page. This is where you put page numbers or elements that you want to appear on every page. So let's just say we wanted to put a box right here. And we wanted to fill it with a color. Let's just make it blue. And we wanted it to appear on all of the left pages. Maybe it's a logo or something. Who knows what this is? All right. So if I'm on the master page, you can have many, many master pages. And if I come back to page 2, let's get rid of this. There it is. It just appears. And you'll notice it's on each of the left-hand pages. If I add a new page, boom, boom, there it is, all right? Because it's a master item. This is where, go back to masters, this is where you put your page numbers, guides, rules, common elements that are going to be on all the pages. Pretty important, okay? But that's the main thing down here. You can also, here's the zoom. Oh, here's where it is. I forgot where it is. So I can zoom in, woo, really close, and I can zoom out. Okay, let's get rid of that blue box because it'll drive us nuts. All right, let's go back to page 2. All right. So that's basically the screen. Those are the elements. These are the windows. You have all kinds of things up here. You have different windows. You have options on the side. So it takes a while to get to know all this. There is definitely a learning curve to InDesign, but it's a super powerful program in terms of being able to create publications and all that kind of stuff. All right, so let's place some text. We're going to create a book. We're going to have text. Let's bring in some text. So usually the first thing I'm going to do before I get to the text is I'm going to just sort of think up a design I'm going to work with. It doesn't have to be final. Nothing in these programs is final, but I'm just going to put in 3 columns. I want to go to my margins. I'm just going to make this 3 columns. And let's just do this. I guess it's there. All right, 3 columns. And I'll leave the gutter. I can change the gutter and make it wider if I want. So like so. Hit OK. I can make this. Let's put the margin on this one too. So whatever is live over here in this palette, you'll notice is live is what gets affected on the screen. So I only had 1 page selected, so it only did 1. So now I have, let's adjust that. So it looks the same. There we go. All right. So now I have a page that's set up with 3 columns. I'm going to just drop some type in here. All right. So I prepared some type. So let's go take a look at that. I'm going to let me just save this first so I don't make a mistake. Boom, boom, boom. Let's just put this in a folder. Okay. So I'm going to go to my folder. Oops, it's up there. Let me go to my folder. And in my folder, I created some text earlier. I went to my Publishing Secrets book. I just pulled some text out. So I'm just going to open that up. And this is one of the things I do because what happens with Microsoft Word, this is in Microsoft Word, and here's some text from my book, is that we try to format the text in Microsoft Word how it's going to be in the final book. And my recommendation is do not do that. That you do all your formatting in InDesign. That's what it's designed to do. So that's where you're going to make it look pretty. But in the meantime, you're not going to do that in Word. So if you have sort of formatted this to look like it's out of the book, I often recommend that you select all this copy and just take the formatting off. Let's just go down here. All right. And we're just going to make it consistent. We're just going to make it one font and one size, and it will just give us more flexibility to, and I think we'll just make this area Avenir. I like Avenir. That's my new font lately. So we're just going to make this medium, and we're just going to make this the size because we're going to format this when we get to our book. Right? The other thing that you want to look at is if you have images in here, or you have, like, in fact, let me just go back. You notice right here, let me zoom in so you can see what I was just doing. You might have a soft return in here on this line. Notice that little symbol is a soft return. So I would just back those up, make them all one line. If you have page breaks, InDesign can get really messed up with page breaks in it because it wants to break the page, and you don't want to do that. You want to break the page in a different place. You don't want it here. So I take all these things out because it really messes everything up. So you take all that out. So you just want your text to come in nice and simple and clean. And I'm going to just make it all one color. Right? So I do this with any text I'm doing. I used to have to do this all the time with client text that would come for any books. I would have to just strip everything out, make it simple like this, and then bring it in from there. So let's just save this. Save as. And we're going to call this cleaned up. All right, close this. All right, so let's bring some text into InDesign. So how do we do that? So normally I will click on my text tool. That's the good place to start. I'll usually bring it over here on the Pasteboard, and I will go up to File, and right here you'll see the word Place. You can copy and paste into InDesign, but the proper way to do it is do with Place. I hit Place. I'm going to just navigate to my text. There it is. I'm going to click on it. And it comes in looking like this. You'll see there's a little sort of page icon with some text on it. And I usually dump this over here in the Pasteboard. That's why I like the Pasteboard. I can put it in the columns, but I usually just put it right here. I just hold down my cursor, drag it out, and there's my text. Right? So everything is there. Now I'm ready to start. Now I'll do some rough formatting, and we'll put it in the columns. So I'm just going to click on it. I'm going to do Select All. And I'm going to pick a font that I like. So let's just pick a new font. I just pick a general font to bring it in, but we'll use Gill Sans. It's been around for a while. Oh, it's doing his little thing there. There we go. And we're going to pick the format we want. I'm going to do Gill Sans regular, and I'm going to leave it at 12 point. You can make any point you want, but these are some standard ones. We'll leave it at 12. And now I'm going to go switch to my pointer tool. And think of this as almost like a window shade. And I'll show you what I mean by that. This can be moved. These little handles on the side, this is my text box. All right. So I can just drag it onto my page if I want, and then move the little handles so it fits in the column, like so. You'll notice there's a little, hopefully you can see this, but there's a little red cross down here at the bottom. That tells me there's more text. I can click on that with my pointer. Come up here to my rule. Remember, we set up a rule on this page. I can click, hold, and drag, and the text just flows out. And I seem to have even more. So we're just going to flow that out, and we just flow it out through the book. I can also hold down the Shift key, and it'll flow out through the rest of the book, everything. So if I do this, I click on this, hold my Shift key, it will just dump out all the way. These are movable. I can move them as a whole thing, a whole block. I can put it anywhere I want. I can also, like a window shade, I can just move these up or down. And let me show you what happens here. If I move this, you'll see where the type is. If I move one of these, think of it like a slinky, it all shuffles back and forth. Everything kind of moves, right? So basically you just get all your copy in here and then you're going to start to format it. I have a head up here. So what I would normally do is click and drag on that. I'm going to cut it. And I'll probably just come over here, draw out my text box, paste it. There it is. I'm going to make it bold, like so. I'm going to make it bigger, like, whoa, too big, too big. Let's go to 30. I'm going to take out this extra text right here, move this down, and then I can move this block, this text block, right in here and expand it out to fit. And here's a little secret for getting things, this is a pro tip for getting things lined up. If you move your text box right to the side, to these margins, the text is perfectly centered. I could do it this way and kind of move it back and forth, trying to get in the center, trying to find that center. But the easiest way is just use your margins in your text box and pour it out. So I just make sure everything is lined up. And then just on a rough formatting, I know I had some heads in there. So we're gonna click on these, make them bold. Just do this quickly. We'll do a longer training on styles and things where you can sort of do this automatically. But I'm just going through here and making them bold. You can move pretty quickly through it. I can also make them a color. If I bring up my swatch palette, I select it, and we'll just make these, we'll make them red so they're really visible. And I can add any colors I want in here. There's an immense number of options in here. But basically, there's my page laid out. And now I have this little word up here. Oh, here's one I missed. So we're just going to make that bold. We're going to make that red. And there we go. So let's just pull this down. Pull it a little more. Now, if I'm making a book for Kindle, they have, they want you to have a free, nothing in this outer margin. You'll notice this text block actually extends out into this margin. So in that case, I would pull some space out of there, push this up, and there we go. All right. So all pretty cool. Let's just remove that little guide. And we have formatted our page. Okay. So we'll worry about the other page some other time. But this is how it starts. Okay, we brought in text. Let's bring in a photo. So I prepared some photos. So I'm going to go to File. Now, we'll do this. Go to File, go to Place. And I usually want to make everything placed out here because sometimes things will post into themselves. So you want to be careful not to do that. So let me go to Place and go to my things. I prepared some photos. So I'm just going to grab one of these photos. This is just a JPEG. InDesign will bring in almost anything, Photoshop files, JPEG files, TIFF files, EPS, Illustrator files. And again, I like to sort of place this out here away from everything. And I'm going to put this photo right here in this spot. So I'm going to use a keyboard command. You can also just go up here to your zoom and just notice it's getting smaller, 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 smaller. Or I can do it by keyboard commands. I'm holding my Command and Shift. I'm on a Mac, and I can shrink it. I can enlarge it. If I grab one of the handles around the outside, I can crop it. So I'm going to just take this one on the left, on the right. I can crop it like so, or I can move it back out. And you notice in the middle here, there's a little circle. That will allow you to move the picture. You can see the frame of the picture underneath. This is not what's called non-destructive editing. Nothing is really gone. It's still all here. So if I come back, I can open this back up. And there it is. And I can open this back up here. And I like to have this right to that edge, so I don't want to have extra space. So I'm going to put this right here in this location. And I'm going to size it to my guides. My guides tell me, my columns and my guides tell me where to move things. Now I have type that's underneath here. See, there's type. Move that out. So I'm going to click on it, go to the little handle, pull it down. I'm going to make a guide right below the picture so I can line things up. Grab this one, pull it down. Hopefully this is making sense. Sort of relay this out a little bit. Make it right. And there we go. I have a picture laid out. Now, if I want, I can turn these rules off. I can do that right in here. Let's see, display extras, grids, hide guides, like so. And those are off. And then I really just like this. This is sort of the new thing they do in InDesign. They have this sort of box around everything. I always turn that box off. This is a frame edge, hide frame edges. I just don't like it. There's no need for it. So there's my page. Pretty cool. Everything is sort of set, and I just move on through my book, laying things out, making adjustments, sizing things. It's all kind of cool. So what do we have in here? Also, we have, let's just go to our type. So remember, everything with the type box, you have handles on the sides. You can resize your type box. You can make it any size you want. But usually you're going to go to some kind of grid and line things up. You can change your photos. Remember, you're working in a publication, so all photos have to be 300 dots per inch. And there we have different colors we can do things. And in a later broadcast, we'll talk about styles and all that kind of stuff. All right, so we've done our book. We've laid out everything out, how it's going to be. We've added page numbers and headers and footers and sort of designed our book. And we are ready to release it somewhere. So we can either release it as a PDF that we're going to send off to Kindle when we're finally done with it, or we might be sending it off to a printer. Most printers now take PDFs, but they also have down here at the bottom this thing called Package, which will put all the files together for you. You don't need this for KDP, but if you're working with a printer, you do. But here in the file, pull-down menu, we have Export. And export, we can do all these different things, but the one we normally do most of the time is right here, Adobe PDF Print. We can give it a name if we want. And we hit Save, and you'll get this menu. This is one of the menu you'll use. This process is one of the ones you'll use a lot when you're making either just a straight PDF or moving it around, or you're going to make a book. And you can adjust, you can pick the kind of PDF you want, usually for Kindle books, it's going to be, or for print books on KDP, it's going to be high quality. But if you're emailing your book to someone to take a look at it, I always make them the smallest file size. There's quite a difference in file sizes. So high quality puts all the information you need, and smallest is the minimal that you're going to need. And there are other options in here. You notice I have this. I use Blurb, and so they have a special one that they use. There's a special one for Lulu. But generally, you're going to just use this high quality one unless they call for one that's different. And that's pretty much it. You don't really need to do anything else in here. You can leave everything else the same. You don't have to go to all this stuff, but there's a lot of options. But generally, I don't do any of it. And I hit Export. And there's a little meter here. Tells you when it's done. That's it. And there we go. So let's just go look at it in, oops, right over here, just so we can show you what that looks like. And if anybody has any questions, just put them in here. But this is sort of what I was intending for this. This is just our Adobe Acrobat. And you'll notice if we just scroll down, there's our page in PDF, ready to go to print the book on KDP. So pretty cool, pretty cool. It's a fantastic program. You can do pretty much any kind of design that you want to do in this program. You can lay things out. You can do all the editing. You can changes and corrections and spell checking, and you have all kinds of stuff which will go into greater detail in additional ones. So I think that covers, unless there's any questions, let's go back to, oops, wrong one. Where is here we go. And go back to here. There we go. All right, we're back. So hopefully that was helpful. If you have a question, let me just bring up, make sure I see that. Let's go back to my Facebook group. Oh, it's right here. And make sure there aren't any questions that I can answer, but we'll cover in more detail some of the other stuff, like styles, and which is really, really useful. More stuff on color and different color palettes and books that you can use. I'll have a call back. This is great. Okay, love seeing the. All right. Oh, we got them over here. Yeah, they could be different. There's different versions of InDesign. Yeah, they keep changing it. But basically, everything I've showed you has pretty much been standard for forever. So when are you going to be doing the next lesson? I will let Yale, great question. I'm going to try to get on some kind of regular path. I'll certainly announce it in the group. This was just sort of inspired by all the musicians that I saw doing live concerts. I said, I can do this too. So let's just get on and do it. So I'll sort of try to build a schedule out. Let's see, you could use the master page to build a basic template if you're doing a long form. Yes, definitely you can do that, Susan. In fact, in my InDesign for Authors course that I had put the link in the group, and I'll re-put it in there. I have built a lot of book templates, and if somebody who is in that course has a specific book template or size, let me know. I can put them together pretty quick. So you have, 6 by 9 and 8.5 by 11 and 5.5 by 8.5, whatever you want. You build it up with however many pages, 140 pages. You build up cover templates. It's making a template is very, very easy. So that's kind of cool. Yale, this is great. Thank you. Yep. I just give you stuff. Yeah, practical example. I'm trying to show you exactly how to make it with projects. So I have to kind of pull all my elements together so I can do that. And the pro move with the ruler. Yeah, the ruler is one of the most useful tools. People don't know about it if you're sort of brand new to it, but it's how you line things up. And we'll go into some more stuff with that. I don't want to overwhelm you. So we're staying within our hour here, so we're doing good. And yep, thank you so much for this. So that's been great. So all right, so I'll put the link for it in. I'm going to include. I actually have already put them in my books. So in the InDesign for Authors, the self-publishing, look at that thing. The self-publishing secrets is in there. The self-publishing checklist is in there. And the book launch checklist is in there. And there are templates in there. I'm going to be moving more templates in. We'll be doing more videos. Post questions if you want in the group so I know where people want to go. Brenda Sullivan already asked for table of contents. That's a great one. I will walk everybody through doing that. But there's a zillion things to do in making books and using InDesign. So, all right. So I hope that was great. Thank you, everybody. And we will see you in another video. And this is Bruce Jones. And see you soon. All right.